they were on the chapter of Luke, and I'm like, wow, this is weird. Like, this is why I caught y'all yesterday. But you know how I tell y'all, every time you read these texts, you see something new. So this is one of those things I wish I would have seen when we were presenting the Pesach rhythm or Yah's Pesach rhythm. Take us to Luke 21 and 30. Luke chapter 21, verse 30. This is just right on time. Today, we're going to take our time. Those online, you guys got to sign off, go to work. We understand. We'll try to get this chopped up and loaded during the week. But we got to take our time to be Bereans, learn how to be students, and just break down all this false doctrine from our own people and from the pagans. We want to take our time and really eat a full course meal today, y'all willing. So Luke 21:30. Shema, when you got it. Luke 21:30, read.
When they now shoot forth, you see and know of your own selves that summer is now nigh at hand.
Okay, so that didn't give me all I want to. Go back up then and read 29, and let's see if it gives us full context.
And he spake to them a parable. Behold, the fig tree and all the trees, when they now shoot forth, you see and know of your own selves that summer is now nigh at hand.
So here's Messiah talking to the Pharisees, and he's condescending to them. He's calling them hypocrites because he says you can observe when the trees. Now this text that Shamoria read, they use the word shoot forth. And let me see what I got a KJV. Let me see what this one says.
That's like the Abyad, first from the ground.
I'm with you. So we got it because we got people who still learning.
No.
We got people still learning.
That was just
Did y'all catch that?
That was a good.
So the text me and Shamaria has, our text, verse 29, Luke 21:29, it uses a phrase, for Luke 21:30, it uses a phrase when the trees shoot forth.
Like budding.
Budding. Because the text, the Bible app on the YouTube channel, when it was reading it, it says, when the trees start budding, you know it's summer. When the trees start budding, you know it's summer. He didn't say you know it's spring, you know it's summer.
It ain't spring, huh?
There's no spring. And then if you take a look at what's going on outside right now, the trees are no longer budding, they got flowers on them.
They already budded.
So this is confirmation, you're past the first month. That's why I just pulled up, I was going through the Telegram. The first time I text y'all Dandelion was January 30th. Then I went further back because Sister Joyce here, because I remember their baptism, it wasn't really too cold. You know? So the water was great. They're baptizing Sister Joyce and Zamaria. I said, let me see what they. So that was December the 21st. And even over here, way over here in America, away from Jerusalem, we still had weather that was getting warmer. So these are all, and then I got a picture on my phone. I ran out of time to get this uploaded for y'all, but I'm always observing the Most High's creation now. So I want to find this picture to give you a date, and maybe I will, for those online, I will go ahead and I will drop it so you guys can see what I'm saying. But when I walk around my job in the mornings, I take pictures of the squirrels. I get jealous of the squirrels, the birds in and hopping out of. All this stuff make me jealous. Y'all worry free. I'm over here dealing with all these pagans inside this building, trying to just survive. And I go outside looking at the Most High's birds and animals, just like, you idiot. You could have been living like this. You know, so I take pictures of everything. When I see a bee pollinating, when I see a spider crawling, I just start observing and give the Most High honor.
A bee at the job this week too.
So here's an image I took. So Sister Joyce and Zamaria were baptized December 21st, and it wasn't too cold out there. But here's an image I took December 30th at my job. Let me see if I can get this to drop to my phone and to show you what budding means. Because I know all of us, we're so far removed from being agriculturalists and observing the Most High's ways. But when you get your own empirical witness, empirical means you didn't take anyone's word for it. Empirical means I saw this myself. So let me pull this image up and show you what budding means. And I don't know if the date's going to be on here. It's coming up now. No, that's not it. I just want to, just so you understand, and we're going to read this verse again to put it in context, to let you know that we're not trying to get people in line with the Torah group. That we're not those type of people. You do the best understanding you have. We want everybody in line with Abba Yah. So we're not in line with Abba Yah. Please help us. But when you start to observe his ways, you start to get confirmation that we are in line with Abba Yah, just observing his ways. So let me do it again. It says then. When you do an airdrop, it goes to downloads, don't it?
It depends on
Thank you, file.
Oh, here it is. It's coming up. Okay, so I got the image, family. So you guys got to take my word for it because, well, I do vote so y'all can see the date because we're Marines. I don't want you to take my word for it. I'm gonna do this. Just bear with me 1 second. And let me know how it's viewing on the screen. Date here. So the date's not there. All right.
That part.
So I want to the date, so I gotta do both. So let me do a screen share. Y'all can see the screen?
you got to do a screen share.
So family online, we're going to read Luke chapter 21 again, verses 29 and 30, to expose the lies of the Greeks that there's 4 seasons. Abba Yah didn't give us 4 seasons. What you see on the screen, family, this is a tree outside my job, and I'm going to show you the date stamp just so you know I'm not lying. I want you to never take my word for anything. I want you to be Bereans. I'm going to always give you receipts. But I took this picture because this is December 30th. This is December 30th of 2021, and I don't go out on break when it's cold because I hate the cold. But around December, like I said, we baptized them December 21st. So this day, December 30th, at 9 o'clock in the morning, it was fair enough for me to go outside and offer up my prayer. And as I'm going to my eastern spot, I see these trees at the back of the parking lot. I says, look at Abba Yah. The trees are budding. So what y'all looking at, all that pink stuff on those trees, they're not the flowers yet. They're actually the budding. That's the tree starting to bud. And this is according to the pagans, December 30th. So Shemaiah, read that verse again from Messiah.
And he spake to them a parable. Behold, the fig tree and all the trees, when they now shoot forth, ye see and know of your own selves that summer is now nigh at hand.
What's nigh at hand?
On the way.
Summer. Summer. He didn't say spring. And just so you guys can know and see the date yourself, let me pull up the date stamp so you can be my witnesses. Here's the dates. Can y'all see that? Here's the date stamp for this picture right here. Y'all see what it says? December 30th, 2021. Y'all see the time? 9:05, because I'm getting ready to do my 9 o'clock morning prayer. And I'm walking around the parking lot, going to the eastern side of our parking lot. And them trees is right in front of me. I said, I got to get a witness. In December according to your system, y'all saying that it's the last month of y'all year, but our Abba is giving us signs that his new year or his summer is coming. And I listened to the replay at seventh day. I didn't do the best job, but that's what happens when you're in the heat of teaching, trying not to be robotic, but I should have said it a little bit better. Pesach for us is the last day of winter. Pesach, the 14th of Av is the last day of winter. Unleavened bread is the first day of summer. So I didn't say it the best or presented it, but that's what, if you go back and listen to the replay, that's what it is in a nutshell. If unleavened bread is the first day of summer, it's obvious that the last day of winter is Pesach. So you got people, and we're not throwing rocks at any teachers or assemblies, but when the Greek school system is all you know, you're saying that we got to have Pesach in spring. You can't have, it's too cold for Pesach. You gotta wait till the spring. And it's like, once you learn the Israelite way, or more importantly, once you learn the Father's way, Pesach is the last day of winter.
That's what we found that scripture where it said it was cold at night.
They warm themselves by the fire. So Pesach for us, when we do things the Father's way, Pesach is the last day of winter. And this confirmation that even in Babylon, Father has given us understanding, and he's revealing things to us, bringing us back to him. We are in line with him to the best of our understanding. It is summer. For us, it's the third month. We are going deeper into summer. So I just want to share that with the family. Any questions or comments about that?
I just love it. I just love the continual confirmation, and then too, to get the Messiah speaking. It's just another great witness to what's going on, trying to recover the law, the things we lost, and then also being able to prove with text that if he's saying that if you see the trees budding or beginning to shoot forth, then you know that summer is nigh. Then that throws all that stuff out the window on, oh, we need to wait until the barley is right, and we need to make sure that this crosses this imaginary line, crosses that one, and all of that. Because he was talking plainly to them. He said, well, you know, when you see the bud, you know that it's about to be summer. That's how he really, you know what I'm saying?
Didn't mention the equinox.
Right.
Didn't mention the fourth gate.
Nothing.
So you and I and Yashiya, those of us who are seasoned, we know what this is alluding to. We're shutting down all these other extra curricular doctrines that you got to have these parameters in order to start a new year. And if you don't see these parameters, then you got to extend another 30 days. That's what we're shooting down. Right in the text, in the adulterated Greek New Testament that we have, Abba Yah is still talking to us, revealing the truth. The Messiah says, when you see the trees starting to bud, you know summer is coming. Not that spring is on the way, not that I'm going to give you 90 days of spring and 90 days of summer. When the trees are starting to bud, summer is near. And again, you do the studies. We got the studies on the YouTube channel. It's just, this is Abba Yah keeping his word and just keep revealing to us more and more. It's like we spend all this time in these other books. Y'all know I got books galore, but it's like, it's right here in the text they gave us.
We can't read.
Can't read. You telling me spring, winter, summer, fall. Besides, it says it's about to be summer when those trees start to bud. So all praise to Abba Yah. Any other questions, comments? Thank you for that, Shamor Yah. Any other questions or comments about that? All right, fam, we're going to move on to Adbar Sharash, Hebrew roots. Those in house, you have your whiteboards. And this is just an exercise to help us come back to being Israelites. I came up with a declaration, and I want to share it with you all and see if you guys can help me. So I'm going from memory here. I left my notes at the house. But our declaration, y'all repeat after me. These are Israelite scrolls.
These are Israelite scrolls.
That's a good practice. Let's say it with some authority. These are Israelite scrolls.
These are Israelite scrolls.
Written by Israelites.
Written by Israelites.
If you don't understand the Israelites,
If you don't understand the Israelites,
you won't understand these scrolls.
you won't understand these scrolls.
Those online, can you help us? This is not being braggadocious. This is not being egotistical. These are the facts of the case. So let's say it again with authority, and then I'm going to give you the breakdown. Y'all ready? These are Israelite scrolls.
These are Israelite scrolls.
Written by Israelites.
Written by Israelites.
If you don't understand the Israelites,
If you don't understand the Israelites,
you won't understand these scrolls.
you won't understand these scrolls.
And the reason why I edited it like that, because you don't have to be an Israelite to understand these scrolls. Or you don't have to be an Israelite to understand the Israelites. Because you can study and be grafted in or attached. Let me correct myself. You can study or attach yourselves to the Israelites. You can't be grafted in because you got to be an Israelite to be a grafted in. So let me correct that. You have to be of the same seed. Grafted in is an agricultural term. You can't graft the apple tree into a pear tree. That's an abomination. So that's Christian doctrine they taught us. The strangers are not grafted in to be Israel. They attach themselves and circumcise themselves and follow the covenant. So even the strangers, if they learn the Israelites, they can understand these scrolls. So even a stranger coming in, once he learned the Israelite customs, like, yeah, this ain't no 13th month, ain't no 13 moons. So that's the declarations we're going to rehearse when we come together, and you remind yourself, I could have turned that into another bookmark. Since there's some bookmarks up here, I don't think you're being from. Those are free bookmarks here. There's 2 different ones. Take both, one of each, and that's put you in a mind frame. Even you and I'm not a full Israelite. By blood I am, but by culture, I still got a little Greek in me because I spent 40-some years over here. So we got to continue every week to come back to being an Israelite, like we're seeing. Lakam. That's us returning to be Israelites, and that helps us unlock these scrolls, and that's why we take our time to learn Sharash, Ibar, Hebrew roots. Y'all know those still learning, we start from the right side, that character that looks like an upside down E, that's actually 2 front teeth, that gives us the Shah sound. So that first word, those first 3 characters together say Sharash. The second word starts with a picture of the eye, that's Ibar. Sharash, Ibar, or in the pagan tongue, Hebrew roots. We're not truly Hebrews, we are the Ibaria. We are the ones who continue in the house with the chief. Joe, you got something on?
No, I can't hold out. You made a statement and then it sparked something, but then you segue straight into this. I don't want to take away from this.
Praise it. Thanks for that. Just jot it down because you know you're getting old too. Your mind being unforgotten. Just jot it down so you don't forget it. So take a few seconds, family, and decode this word here. Decode this word here. And remember, those still learning, we start on the right side. Start on the right side and work your way left. Everybody ready? Need some more time? All right, so what did you come up with? Shamaria? Tamar. Yashia, what you come up with? Tamar. Sister Joyce, what you come up with? Tamar. Anybody come up with anything different? Abishai, what you got?
Tamar, same thing.
Tamar. Anybody come up with anything different? Great job, family. You guys are coming back to being Israelites. So that first character, family, that's the picture of not a cross. Romans messed us up. That's a picture of the tie for us. 2 sticks crossed. Now that's not the best image because I've enhanced the image for visuals, but that's in our culture. These are just 2 sticks crossed, and that gives us the ta sound for Torah. And then the second character you see, that gives us the ma sound. That's the picture of the ocean wave. So we would say Tom, if we cut off that last short A after the ma, we would say Tom, or we would say Tama. We won't be sure till we hear the ancients. So I say Tama because it's easier for my tongue. So I say Tama. Now, can anyone process this? How would a Israelite process this? What is this word trying to say?
Marked by the blood.
Shmoy says marked by the blood. Anything different?
Mark the people.
Mark the people.
A sign of the flow, or a sign of the blood.
The covenant of power. The
sign of covenant of the water.
Covenant of the water.
Covenant of water, blood covenant.
Sister Joyce?
I might be way out.
We family, let it out.
I don't know, I was thinking like a sign of what's to come, because I was thinking about the water being a flow.
I didn't get that. Because the water takes you somewhere. You see how I love this thing?
Yeah.
The ocean takes you places. So a sign of what's to come, so that's good. So all of you are correct. Once you learn what these hieroglyphs mean individually, we put them together to make sounds, and sounds makes words. So the ta, most instances, the ta is representing a mark or a sign. And then the ocean wave, like you all are processing, that ocean wave can mean so much to us. The ocean wave can represent water, blood, or fluid. And then, like you started saying, the ocean is the most powerful thing because the Most High killed us by water. So it can represent power. And then baptism is a sign of the covenant. So it can represent the mark of the covenant. And then like Yashayah says, the water for us, the ma, also represents people. So it could be the marked people. That's why you always got to check the context of the speaker. So all y'all did a great job. The breakdown, take us to Deuteronomy 18:13. So the George, take us to Matthew 5:48. We're going to start with what they call the Old Testament, and then we're going to finish with their so-called New. And we're going to give you the breakdown or one way to break down, but everyone was saying the same thing. Tom or Tama, you being marked with water, or you being marked by power. You're being marked by the blood of Yahushua. You're being marked by the covenant he made with our people, or more importantly, you're being marked by power or with the power. So Deuteronomy 18:13, Shaban, hopefully I got you set up the right verse. Read.
Thou shalt be perfect with Yahweh the Elohim.
Thou shalt be what?
Thou shalt be perfect with Yahweh the Elohim.
So here's the Most High telling this filthy generation. Can we take the religion out? This generation is filthy. They stink like Egypt. How do I know? Well, the Most High got to start giving them commandments like you shouldn't lay with an animal like you lay with a woman. What type of people you've been around? I got to give you instructions not to lay with your woman or lay with an animal like you laying with a woman. So this generation is filthy coming out of Egypt, and the father is telling Moses, Uncle Masha, tell the people to be perfect before me. And then the Christians took this because it's in their language. They're going to tell us, well, no one can be perfect. Are you perfect? You can't keep the law perfect. And the father knew this. So the George, take us to Matthew, Mathiah. Mathiah is the gift of Yah. Take us to Mathiah chapter 5, verse 48. Mathiah 5:48. Come on.
Sharon.
Read.
Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Abba, which is in heaven, is perfect.
Now, Sister Joyce, is your text in red?
Yes.
So they trained us that this is the king talking, right? I believe that. So, Pastor, I love you dearly. Dr. Seminary, I love you dearly. How is this a new testament? How is this a new covenant when our king, Yahushua, isn't saying anything new? Masha said, be ye perfect. Now he gives us a second Masha, and the second Masha is saying, be ye perfect, because your father is perfect.
No, I was just gonna ask, is this saying like Sabah Tama Wa Ha Yahweh Alahayim?
Start over up.
Sabah Tama Ha Sabah Tama Ha Yahweh Alahayim, something like that.
So if you had Spanish, Spanish is closer to Hebrew than we think, because the Spanish people, so-called Spanish, they were Hebrew Moors. And in Spanish, you put like the verb first. So to quickly say this, be ye perfect, he would say, tama'ata, perfect you. So in English, it's like we're backwards.
Okay.
Perfect you, but me and you, we know, we're saying be perfect. Tama'ata.
Wow.
You're right.
Yahweh Alahayim. Like that.
And Abishai, go ahead and clean it up for me, because I know you got that bilingual going on. Clean it up for me,
No, yeah, you're right with what you're saying. It's when you read Spanish, it's left to right, but when you speak it, it's right to left. You speak it backwards. That's how you make it make sense. But you have to know the language to even know that it's the other way around. Same, but again, yeah, same way with Hebrew. It's you say it, I mean, you speak it when you're trying to make it out, it's backwards. But it's really not backwards. That backwards is really correct as opposed to how English is. But so yeah, you're right.
There's an old video on YouTube, and there are two where the so-called Hebrew speaker is not really a Hebrew speaker. And it's a so-called Spanish girl, and they're going word for word. And it's like, how is the Spanish word almost identical to the Hebrew word? And it's like, that's breadcrumbs. These so-called Spanish people are Hebrews. They were speaking Hebrew in Spain before the conquistadors shut them down. So in the beginning, coming out of Egypt, Father's telling Masha, tell the people to be perfect before me. And now when he sends his son, who is another archetype of Masha, he's the second Masha, he's telling us to be ye perfect as your father is perfect. Now, the reason why I love the Father, I know he's with us and he's doing this work, because I'm not this smart. But asking questions is going to unlock things for you. That's why I don't understand these teachers who don't want to be questioned. If you don't want to be questioned, you're in the wrong ministry. A teacher, you got to be questioned. So as I'm saying, as I'm listening to this, because I was listening to it, the app, and it's like, and I already knew this word from years ago. So I said, well, Father, you're saying be perfect because you're perfect, but you're not marked with water because you are a spirit. So I'm like, Father, how are you Tamar? And that's when that Israelite kick in, and that second application, I think you and Nariah was saying, power. Be marked, be powerful, because I'm powerful. Cast down thoughts and imaginations. Resist the devil and he'll flee. So Tamar is for us, when I fall because I'm carnal, be marked by the blood of Yahushua. Repent sincerely and get back in line with these commandments. I'm Tamar. And then the ultimate goal is to be powerful because your father is powerful. We're not wimps. Oh, I can't. Like that New Jack scene with Pookie with the crack pipe. I can't. No, tell the devil, get out my car, devil. You can't ride with me. No, get out of here. I'm not sick. I don't have anxiety. So Tamar for us, our Yah was never asking us to be faultless. Because Dr. Seminary, Pastor, I love you, great suit, great speech. But if he's asking us to be faultless, why did he give us the sacrifices?
Because he already knew.
He already knew he was going to be full of faults because Adam passed his faults on to us. So Father's not asking us to be faultless in these earth suits. He's asking us, when you get out of line with me, Tamar, repent under the blood of my son and be Tamar, and then be powerful. Don't let that condemnation ride you, and now you don't want to pray, you don't want to look up. Am I the only one? Mm-hmm. You feel so guilty, you don't even want to look up, you don't even want to say a prayer. Mm-hmm. That's the devil trying to get you to, keep going. No, no. Father, that's the devil wants you to know. Father, forgive me. Please have mercy on me. I'm Tamar. Thank you for the blood of Yahushua. And devil, you are a liar. I'm powerful, almighty. So we speak life. So that's the word Tamar. Be marked by the power. Be marked by the blood. Be marked by the water. Any comments or questions? There's nothing new or old in our covenant. The covenant is being renewed. The covenant is being renewed. And that's why I took you to Matthew 5:48. Hamashiach, Yahushua, didn't say anything differently than Moses.
Shamar, you mind saying that phrase, that sentence again, before y'all started going into?
I'm glad I wrote it down. I wrote it down. I think it's Tamar, Waha, Yahweh, Alahayim.
You might have to slow it down, because he's working. You trying to write it down,
Nah, you can just text it to me.
You hear me though? Tamar, because that's be you perfect.
Right.
And then it says with, so could that be like wah?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because joint to or ka like Yahweh.
Or ka
like Yahweh. Be perfect like Yahweh. So you can say it many different ways. Tamar la Yahweh.
Or Tamar wa ha Yahweh Alahayim.
Calm. And that's how we just continue to build on and reconnect. And before you know it, we'll be saying, now we in public, we can speak our language and no one knows what we're talking about.
That's why I kind of do, because I've been just continuing and growing, and I'll see sentences and then the words start coming in my head like I grew up with the language, but I'm still asking, I don't know all the rules yet.
And this is when having the scrolls come in handy. I got this classical Hebrew book in here, but it's garbage because it's following the forged Greek rules on us. The Greek syntax, the Greek designating a word as feminine and male, that's an abomination. The same word for prophet goes for her. So you're Nabah and Sister Joyce is Nabah. It's just that in the community, if I say Nabah Joyce, everyone knows it's a female. I don't have to say Nabah Tess Joyce. So that's why the more we practice and we start to speak this, it come natural to us. It come natural. So any questions or comments about Tamar? So we got to transition into correcting some false doctrine. And before I get into this, I want to thank the Most High for being righteous and being faithful. And I know a lot of times we come with hard criticisms, but I found out something yesterday and I was so floored. I felt kind of convicted, but I was floored. And it was like, "Yeah, you're amazing." So all of us have benefited from those brothers out in those street corners. All of us, them being there, making noise, got our attention. So we're so critical of everybody, but if people are doing the work, God is able to bring some fruit from it. So I thank the Most High for every brother, whether you have my understanding or not. I thank you for being faithful, because I was telling the brothers yesterday, talking to some of the brothers, those brothers say what you want, They are trained with discipline. They're out on them street corners, rain, sleet, or snow. They don't make excuses that it's too cold to be out here. And it's like, if you're not giving the people an alternative, you can't talk about them. I got convicted. Like, here I am, I'm starting to post against the Christian church. Then I'm starting to post against the camps. It's like, well, do you got anything for the people? These are the conversations that you have with the Father. So when I got convicted, you're condemning the Christian church. Now you're condemning other Israelite doctrine. What are you doing giving the people? So that Pastor Dave video was my confirmation that the Most High wanted me to teach with a little bit of understanding I had at the time in 2015, 2016. So I thank the Most High for his faithfulness. Even the brothers who may teach different than us, I thank the Most High for them being there. With that being said, family, I said it at 7-Day Harvest. Being a teacher is hard. It is. It's hard work. If I had counted up the calls before I threw my hat in the ring, I would do it again because it's just who I am. I love helping. I grew up in athletics, so I always loved teaching the kids, how to play basketball. When I left school and started substituting teaching in the school system, I think, wow, Father's been lining me up for this the whole time. That's why nothing is wasted unless you allow it to be wasted. So even if I did count the calls to sleepless nights, worrying about people disappearing, people fake, people real, I still would be doing this. So I thank the Most High for that. But being in that seat you guys are in, it's hard being a disciple because everybody with a dumb phone is a teacher now. They learn 5 precepts. They got an Instagram channel the next day. So you guys got a hard job too. It's like, where do you get your foundation? How do you know what's true? Is it 13 months? So be Bereans and seek the Father. Fasting and praying still works. Anybody believe that? Fasting and praying still works, family. He's going to come to you. But there's a doctrine we got to address. And my job here, I'm not trying to build how can I say this without, I'm not trying to grow a community or I don't know how to, I don't want to sound like we're trying to be, we're not a cult, we're not a church. We're just a group of people who know who we are. We love our Father, we love his Son, and we're trying to keep each other encouraged to the end. But the job of a teacher, you got these people, and my father used to say, just let a liar talk. Just let a liar talk, and they're going to reveal themselves. A lot of these teachers are turning out to be narcissists. If you ain't getting it from me, it ain't the truth. If you ain't studying with us, you don't know what's going on. That's a narcissist. Stop listening to this and that. And I can't be that person because when I came in, I don't trust nobody. I trust nobody. That's why I go over my notes 2 or 3 times and I check the other position to make sure I didn't miss anything. A teacher's job is not to get you to follow him. A teacher's job is to restore you to your greatness. Because when you check the scrolls, Messiah wasn't trying to get them to follow him. Messiah was trying to get the people to return to who?
Most High.
The Most High. So inventing a faith after a man, that's pagan. That's why you got the Marcionites, you got the Lutherans, now you got the Christians. Paul never said, I'm a Christian. None of our apostles ever said, I'm a Christian. It was Herod that says, you almost persuade me to be a Nazarite. And calling people by the man they're following, that's pagan. We're not following a man, we're following our Father, and the doctrine he gave to his Son is bringing us back to him. So my job as a teacher is not to get you to be sounding like me and following what I believe in. My job is to get you to restore to your greatest state, and all of us are going to be superheroes. That's why I want y'all to be able to read, because we all can be on the front line. And the day my little battery cell is low, I'm getting juiced by you.
To Shabla Yahweh.
To Shabla Yahweh, return to the Most High. And the text, if you need some text, if you need some scripture, Messiah says, greater works will you do. He wasn't trying to get them to follow me. He's trying to get them to go back to the Father. Because he knew if you go back to the Father, you'll be like me. This is what I caught too. Listen to the Bible at this week. When he transfigured on the mountain, he went back to his original state. And that's before the crucifixion. So why did he have to get crucified? He already had his glory.
That's why he said, return me to the glory I had with you
Before the world. So he showed Peter and them, this is what y'all got coming if y'all hold on. Now y'all got to go through these curses, but I'm trying to get you restored to your original state of being a power, being Tamah. He wasn't trying to get them to follow him. He was trying to get them back to daddy. Now you come up with pagans editing our scrolls, being Christian. I'm a Christian. I'm born again. So, family, y'all get into this and be Bereans and help build the nation so we all powerful. But we ain't got to lay hands on nobody. It's the fact that you come in with a cold, and before you know it, it's gone. We all hide them in here. That's why we got people being too much Christians going on. Come on, let me pray for you. Let me. If we're all doing what we're supposed to do, when we get together, no demon should be able to stand around us. Any spirit of depression that you had on you, when we come together, he's running like roaches when rain come out. They're back together. They're at the body now.
I do believe it's something to that too, because even at the job, you know, the more you get there, people see you, they see or they feel your spirit. And there's this older lady there, and of course she's Christian, into the church and stuff like that. But we was leaving one day, and I just touched her on her shoulder, and she said, "You just so sweet, babe." She said, "What church you go to?" Because she said she felt like I had something to do with the Most High. That's what she was like. You must go. She said, "What church or something do you go to?" I was like, "Well, I don't go to a church." And then she said, I told her that we got a Hebrew assembly, and she said, "Oh, well, we're gonna have to talk about that one day." But it just goes to show like what you're saying, like you do. Even that time, Antoine Zamar saw me at the barbershop one day, and he was like, he said, "I can see some type of fire in your eyes." And he's here, so he can tell if he wants to. But I was just like, dang, like, you know, that was my first time experiencing other people seeing something in me that, you know, I'm just walking around. And it was another confirmation, and I told this before, but my cousin, when I had went home, I rarely go home. So me being there, he was like, "Are you going to church or something?" He said, "Something, I feel some type of fire in you, or something different." And I was like, "Well, it must be the power of the Most High, because this is multiple people saying, they're saying this."
And it makes us feel so good. That's why we gotta stay humble, because it does make us feel. Just a couple 10 years ago, I'm out getting drunk all night. I'm paying my bills and budgeting that $200 for the club. I'm budgeting money to live in sin. Instead of saying I could have put that away, I could have paid on my student loans. That $250 is for Friday through Sunday. So it makes us feel good. Sister at my job, she just coming back since everyone's coming back. But when I started wearing my tunics to work, and I'm thinking, "You be looking mean. I don't want you to be approachable." So one day I'm coming in from my break, and she says, "How you doing, man of God?" I'm like, "Thank you." I'm like, she ain't spoke. I ain't tell her I'm an Israelite. I ain't even say no. She just been watching me. And then yesterday, she's working. She's back in the building. So I'm at the microwave heating up my tea, and we're just speaking. And she says it again. It's like, "Man of God, how are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm blessed by the best." I said, "Sis, what's your name?" We've been speaking, and she told me her name, and I told her, my Christian name. And I was like, that's the Most High let you know that just halakha b'shalom. I ain't gotta be, let me show you this verse. I bet you're passing on. No,
Yeah, I ain't even.
No, just halakha b'shalom. Walk in peace, and people are gonna want what you have. If we're getting confirmation, we're gonna keep going. But how we've been saying, sooner or later, they're gonna come looking for us. It's about to happen. All the family and friends calling us crazy, in a minute, they're going to become knocking us down.
I do. And I'm glad this came up then, because now I just thought about it, like you said. So you know how like we learn the language and all that, and my thing that I say, you know, call kabada like how about Sham Mashiach like how shy. When it gets boring at work, or not necessarily boring, but gets slow, I doodle. I've been like that, you know, I draw or write. Right. So then I start writing that on my sticky notes, and then I started writing the characters out, like English and then Hebrew. And then I just stick it on my desk.
Right.
And then she was one of the trainers, but she's a Gentile. And I like her, you know, she's real sweet. She comes by, and then she was talking about something, and then she was like, "Oh, what's this on your?" She said,
"Get your mic on, just in case."
She said, "What's this on your desk?" And then I said, "Oh yeah, that's the Hebrew characters." And then she said, "I just love you even more now." And then she started talking about her little Christian stuff or whatever. But I was just like, yes, you know, we have a school, and you know, we teach Hebrew and stuff like that. And then she was like, "Well, we just got to sit down and talk about this." Like, but that's how the Most High can show, like, that will allow me to have favor with man and favor with the Most High. So that's just an extra, that's halakha ba shalom, you know, or halakha ba Yahweh, you know, just walking with him and walking in our culture and our ways, you know, and people see it, and their reception to it is like, well, how do you know about they don't even know, like, what is this? So, you know, I just want to say that too.
All praises. You ain't got the glaze, I go in there and get it for you.
Yeah.
Now, your baby's about to starve to death. But if you're right here cussing people out and everyone's a double, halakha ba shalom. So, family, we're about to address this false doctrine. That's what it is. I'm talking to men most of the time, so ain't no sense of being soft and sensitive. This is false doctrine. How many people heard a doctrine that Adam wasn't the first man?
I heard it before.
There's a doctrine that Israelites are teaching that there were pre-Adamites. And these brothers, what really upsets me with these brothers, they're so cocky and arrogant, and they claim to speak Hebrew. And it's like, that's why I'm telling you all, don't just fall in line and start saying sounds if you don't understand why we're saying these sounds. Because if you're just falling in line saying sounds, now you're being indoctrinated. So if you don't understand why we say Khan and halakha, shalom and shalom, ain't nothing wrong with it. But for these brothers that claim that they didn't speak the language and to say that Adam wasn't the first human, it shows me that you don't really understand the language. And then the second thing I want to remind you, use that plumb line. Ask for witnesses. Because if you guys follow me on Facebook, that's why I put that post out there. I says, research like medicine mishandled quickly becomes fatal. You got these brothers paraphrasing and butchering a resource. And then they make a declaration like that's what their resource is saying. And now you don't beguile the ignorant, the unlearned, who's not going to go behind you and get that resource. So I've been heard about this pre-Adamite doctrine. I'm not a Hebrew chaser. I'm not a debater. I share the information with those in my circle who I like to meet you face to face, because all this online social media exchanging, why do you want this information? What do you want to do with this information? Are you going to plagiarize like you got the understanding and breakdown? Now you're some great teacher just beguiling people. So I'm very protective. So I don't be out there trying to debunk all these doctrines. So this doctrine is very old. But now I'm having my Popeye moments. I had enough. And when I'm hearing babes get sucked in, it's really upsetting me. So this one brother had the nerve to quote a resource that sort of is supposed to confirm that they were pre-Adamites. And it just so happened the resource that he butchered, I had the resource here. So when he said that, I didn't read the whole book, but when he mentioned the resource, I'm like, I don't remember reading nothing like that inside the resource. So I went and Googled the resource, and then when I got to the Bayat, I got my hard copy. So let's go into the book of Genesis, and let me show you, for those who don't know, let me show you this cockamamie doctrine that there were pre-Adamites, and let me show you how they're leaning toward their own understanding. They're making the text say this. The text is not saying this. So take us to Genesis chapter 1. Barashat, ba and in, Rashat, in the beginning, in the head. Barashat, in the head, in the beginning. Genesis chapter 1, and let's start it at verse 27 or 26.
Welcome.
Shalom, welcome, mother.
Oh, thank you. Bless you.
Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. Shimon, read.
So Yah created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created him, he him. Male and female created he them.
So here we get the first time that the Most High is mentioned. He created male and female. He created them, right? Read on.
And the Most High blessed them, and Elohim said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And the Most High said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat, for food.
These brothers lean toward their own understanding, and they take people to Genesis 1:26 and say, see right here, this is the first created being here. Now watch this, brother. Let's go over to Genesis 2, start at verse 4. Genesis 2, verse 4.
These are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created, in the day that the Most High Elohim made the earth and the heavens and every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb in the field before it grew, for Yahweh Elohim had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground.
See right there? See right there? It says it wasn't a man in the earth to till the ground. You see? In Genesis 1:26, I'm playing the role of these teachers who's beguiling people. Genesis 1:26 is the first species being created, but right here, Genesis 2 and verse 5, it says there was no man to till the ground. So you see, Adam wasn't the first man, is what they're telling people. Let's read on, and we're going to double back.
6. But there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. And Yahweh Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul.
See here, this is Adam being created. Adam wasn't the first being. It was other people here. Keep going.
And Yahweh Elohim planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed.
See, this is Adam being made, but Genesis 1 is another species. That's how they're duping people. They're leaning towards their own understanding, putting all this. They're building a Frankenstein case, and they don't have witnesses. They don't have witnesses to support what they're bringing out. So they're saying Genesis 2 and 6 is when Adam was first made. Genesis 1:26 is a first species being made. Adam wasn't the first species. Then what they say, let's go over to Genesis 4. But then they add to a Frankenstein case. And Genesis 4, and let's pick it up at 11. Genesis 4:11, the fall of Cain. This is how they built their Frankenstein case. It say Adam wasn't the first man. Genesis 4, starting at verse 11. Shema?
Shema.
Read.
And now art thou cursed from the earth, which have opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. And Cain said unto Yahweh, my punishment is greater than I can bear.
Now, what is this, family, in the Christian sense? Cain just slew his brother, and the Most High didn't kill him. The Most High just punished him.
Mercy.
Grace right here. How do you get a doctrine when Jesus brought grace? The Most High love for his people been with us the whole time. I just want to point that out. Keep going.
Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. It shall come to pass that every one that findeth me shall slay me. And Yahweh said unto him, therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold.
So if that wasn't enough grace that I'm not going to kill you, Cain, for killing your brother, now Cain is crying. Now, Father, you have made me a vagabond and you marked me. Now, people want to say what the mark is, but you don't have no witnesses what that mark was. But somehow the Most High marked Cain where you can know who he is. So now Cain is crying out, well, now I'm going to be a vagabond, and everywhere I go, people are going to slay me. So if keeping him alive wasn't enough grace, the Father continues and says, not only am I going to spare your life, Cain, but whoever slays you, I'm going to avenge your death 7 times more. That's more grace and mercy for Cain, a wicked seed. Y'all got to get this. Read on.
And Cain went out from the presence of Yahweh and dwelt in the land of Nod.
On
the east of Eden.
East side of the garden.
And Cain knew his wife.
Where did he get his wife from? You see right there? He left the garden and went to Nod, and was already a woman there. Where does the text say it was already a woman there? They're leaning toward their understanding. They're making a bunch of suppositions that he left the garden and found this woman in Nod. Does the text say he found the woman in Nod?
No, because I was gonna comment and say, reading it saying, and Cain knew his wife and she conceived. It's already, it didn't say that he found her in Nod. It would more so, if you're gonna assume something or put something in there, that his wife went out from the garden to Nod with him.
See, that's us adding to it, and it could be or could not be. But these brothers are just assuming that he went out and found this woman already in Nod, and that means it was people already on the earth before Adam and Eve.
Yeah, and the right said, oh, never mind.
So, you got something up?
He said, wait.
So, this is how they're building a Frankenstein case that there were pre-Adamites. That Genesis 1:26 and Genesis 2 and 5 are talking about 2 different creation stories. They're not. What they're failing to see and realize, this Genesis creation story is being told from the past tense. Now, before we get into this resource that they're butchering up, let's go back and put the scrolls back in the context. Let's back up to Genesis. Let's back up to Genesis chapter 2 and let's read verse 5 again, and let's make it make sense. Genesis 2 and 5. Damon? Read.
And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, for Yahweh Elohim had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground.
So, family, if you don't mind marking up your scrolls, for those of you still got old school hard copies and not the digital like these young folks, the text says, Genesis 2, verse 5, and every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. This is giving honor to the Most High Yah. He's saying that there's herbs, there's plants. He's providing for Adam before they grew, because does anyone have a footnote in their hard copy that's pointing to Genesis 1:12? Yasha, can you take us to Genesis 1:12? This is how you got to be Bereans, and you can't fall in line with an organization, and now you got to accept that the organization's breakdown, or you can't fellowship with the organization. The Torah Group is not doing that. If the Most High show you something, it's your obligation to share it with us, and don't get offended if we dissect it and say, okay, you was off. We're just slaves waking up. But don't you be so intimidated and starstruck, or Morey wrote that down. I'm nobody. I'm your brother. You bring this back and let's dissect it together. We don't got no man-made doctrines here. We are all Bereans. Genesis 1:12. What you got, Yasha?
And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind, and Elohim saw that it was good.
Say what?
And Elohim saw that it was good.
So what Genesis 2:5 is saying, the Most High is so good, he brought the vegetation up without the rain. He's providing for Adam. Adam is a trust fund baby. You and I are trust fund. Adam wasn't supposed to work, family. So when it says there was no man to till the ground, it's an adulterated text. You're trying to process Hebraic thought through a Greek and Latin text. There was no man to till the ground. There was no man needed to till the ground. Because I'll read it again out, Genesis 1:12. Adam wasn't made to till no ground. He wasn't made to be playing in the dirt.
That was a part of the grace he received after he sinned.
Genesis 1:12.
And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the seed yielding fruit, whose seed was it itself after his kind, and Elohim saw that it was good.
So now, Shamoya, read Genesis 2:5 again, and let's put it in context.
Let's read Genesis
1:11.
Bring it out.
And Elohim said, let the earth bring forth grass and the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth, and it was so.
So it's saying the Most High said, let the earth bring forth grass.
I'm speaking the vegetation. Adam ain't supposed to be tilling the ground for apples and oranges. Adam, I gave you everything. You are my son. You are a ruler on the earth. This earth is our taza. Our taza is the path, ara of the first man. Here, this is all for you. This is all for you. So I'm giving you everything. And you ain't got to dig in the earth to get nothing to come out. You can say orange B, apple B, because I created you in my own image. Abba spoke things into existence. Adam was made to be like Abba. Speak. Lion, come lay down next to me. Cabbage, come up. I need an apple. Bring it out.
That's why he was given responsibility to name the animals.
He spoke. That's a lion. That's a rabbit. So these brothers don't know the culture like they project themselves to on their social media with all your pictures and all your images and all your logos. You're using Hebrew words, but you're proving to me you're just learning sounds like a baby. You know, y'all ever been in the hood, the projects, and they make the little babies cuss? They think it's cute. That's what these Hebrew organizations are doing. By you saying that they're pre-Adamites, you're showing me all that Barakapha and Yahweh Shai you're speaking. You're just learning sounds. You're not learning the true culture, because if you learn the true culture, you know your doctrine of pre-Adamites don't make sense. Go ahead.
And that's why life and death is in the power of the tongue. As the Most High spoke life into us, we're supposed to be like life into the rest of creation.
Yeah, that's why that time where it was one of the classes we did, but that's why when we try to explain what Elohim mean, judges and rulers in the earth, and I mentioned that how we're supposed to be able to command the animals, the plants, and things like that, because that's how he created Adam in the beginning.
You got a light bill due, money come here. What did Messiah say when we got to pay your taxes to Caesar? What did Messiah tell him to do?
Render to Caesar.
But what did he say? Tell Peter to do? Go find the fish.
Oh, and money came out the fish.
Now he just told Peter to do something so Peter would move, because you gotta have, if you have faith, you do what? You move, you act. So he didn't have to tell Peter to go. He could have had the money come up. But to test Peter's faith, he said, Peter, go to the river, and the first fish to come up, look in his mouth. So us working for these Gentiles, it's part of the curse. But when you come back to your true power, we were supposed to speak things. So these brothers come out as pre-Adamites, and they Frankenstein these verses. You don't understand what these verses are saying. There was no man to till the ground. Now, another part of the piece of the puzzle. Look at your Genesis 2 and 5. And I heard you, Nariah. Look at your Genesis 2 and 5. Is the phrase, there was no man, is that italicized? Sister George, yours italicized? What does that mean when you see italicized words in the text? It's not original. It's not original. So that phrase, there was not a man, is not original in the Hebrew. What Father is saying, there was no man to till the ground. There was no work that needed to be done. I provided every. How did Most High gonna create you? Can you imagine you having your first son, Yashiyah? And now they go in and cut the grass. Like what? Adam was even though Adam was formed as a grown man, he's still a baby.
Yes.
So I gave him everything. Now I walk around and confess what it is. That's an apple tree. That's a pear tree. Because he had no sin. He's the perfect image of the Father before he transgressed. So that phrase, there was no man to till the ground, is not Adam's first creation or Adam being the second being. Adam didn't have to work.
Go ahead, Gerald.
I thought Nariah was first. Nariah was coming through.
I ain't see his hand up.
Okay.
Go ahead, Gerald.
When a king leaves an inheritance, or providing an inheritance for their offspring, typically the inheritance, the prince or the next in line, the son, don't have to work. He got workers. If anything, he got people working for him. Like you don't see stay. You don't see that inheritance being left, for it. Basically, that's what I'm saying. Like I'm distracted, but yeah. So when the Most High put Adam on the earth, like the point you're making, it wouldn't make sense for him to put him here with a whole lot of work to do. Now he did tell him to fill the earth, subdue it, and the perception is we've been taught, and I don't know where you're gonna go with this, because we have been taught in Christianity with the perception that their job was to make the whole earth look like the garden, which means you would think from our perspective they would have to work to do that, to make the whole earth look like the garden. But if they were able to just speak stuff like you're saying, so I don't know where you're going, but I was just thinking about that scenario. A king doesn't expect his son to take the inheritance and start working.
Great point. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. And real quick before the next person, when you subdue something, you are taking command of it or rulership of it. And that's what subdue means. Not that he had to go and create it or till the ground to make the flower grow. He was in charge of it. Right. You are overseer of it. You subdue it. Everything is under subjection to you. So that was the commandment that he was supposed to stay under, but then he had to do some work once the sin came.
Now, imagine this. Someone, I got a gift for you. Yah bought you a gift. Oh, all praises. What you get me? I got you a shovel. Well, yeah. Well, first it's yours. But first, can you dig this ditch in my backyard? What kind of gift is that? So I would love Adam so much. He's going to create this garden, and you got to now work the garden. No. He's subduing it. That's an apple tree. Thank you, Father. All praise you, the great I am. There's some pears. Oh, look at that lion. Come here, little lion. He subdued the garden. He didn't create anything in the garden. So thank you for that point, Ab. Somebody else has something, Ab?
Naraya, go ahead.
Well, earlier I was just agreeing with y'all about the fish coming up and having money in its mouth, but I was just thinking about how everything just gets perverted with the text, because what y'all are saying, it made me think of that phrase people use it all the time. Speak things into existence. I'm pretty sure we've all heard that phrase before. Speak things into existence. But the perversion comes in because the Most High gave us that power. Yashaya, if somebody can help me out, that's how a lot of things are going to be judged. It says by the rod or the sword of his mouth. Just showing you how powerful the word is. But the perversion comes in when these things happen. The glory isn't given back to the Father, and all these idol gods are giving these people this authority in this world to do certain things. And because I, just talking to different people, whether it be with Joyce or Zamar, and just it always comes up. They'll be in this delusion like, well, I know my God did these things for me, and I've seen deliverances, and I've seen, people be healed and all of those things, and just the perversion just comes in where just the glory isn't given to the proper place, but eventually those idols are going to be cast down and that power ain't going to be there no more. So I just wanted to say that on top of what y'all were saying.
Great point. Great point. So any questions about how they're butchering up Genesis?
Reg, Abishai, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you are going over this, Abijah, because I have heard this doctrine. I didn't hear it get broken down, but I heard it. And then I went to the book, and read it myself. And then just off of reading it, it's like, oh, shoot, they right. Because if you just read it, that's what it really does sound like. That there was pre-Adamites. If you just read it regular, and then, you go to Genesis 1, and then you go to 2, and then you just line it up the way you did in the outset, that is what it sounds like, So it's something that I heard, but then I forgot about because I really wasn't on it like that, because I didn't, have it thoroughly broken down to me. So I wasn't attached to it. But I'm glad you're going over it, because it's just me being able to revisit that thought, because if you just read it, then you'll get convinced. But, a lot of things, as we know, has to be broken down for you to really see where the witnesses are, so you can see what to believe or not believe, because there's a lot of stuff out there in this community.
All praises. Again, we don't knock another organization. We thank the Most High for everybody waking up.
Whenever you finish.
Okay. We thank the Most High for everybody waking. These brothers who are doing hours teaching, they could be doing hours, continuing to move drugs, continuing to sell our sisters. So this is not an attack. If these brothers hear that, you can contact me. I'm not debating. Produce your witnesses, but we're establishing the fact that there are no pre-Adamites. For anyone to teach this doctrine, not only are you in error, but you're going against the great I Am, calling him a liar. So, but we think the Most High, these brothers could be spending hours in unrighteousness. I'm gonna assume right now this is just poor teaching that's being passed on. I don't think they are meaning to defy the Most High. Shemariah?
Yeah, I wanted to say the thing about what he was saying about when you're reading something and reading it straight. I'm finding that that's not necessarily the case, because you might be reading it with a bias that someone implanted into your mind or to your subconscious. So when you read it straight, you thinking in the line that they already had you thinking. That's why when me and the brother Gerald be talking, I was like, well, I hear what you're saying, but let me go back while it's just me and the Father, and then I'll read it and read it and read it and read it and read it. It's not just reading it at the surface, like line per line. You got to see what is this thing talking about, the whole context. Sometimes the paragraph before or the line before the line after. Again, that's why I say, and myself included, we don't read and we can't read and we don't comprehend. For one, it's translated into so many different languages, we missing the original meaning of what things are saying. And I know your intent, what you were saying, like just reading it straight line by line, but even just reading it straight line by line, there is this thing that it seems like I'm decent at it sometimes, but it's definitely nowhere near where it should be. But you just gotta not have anybody's preconceived thoughts when you read something. And then you get in a quiet place and read and find what is the context of these lines. And that's how you'll start to, you might not get the full picture like what was brought out today, but you won't necessarily roll with the flow just because somebody else told you, if that makes sense.
It's inception, the concept of inception.
I agree with that. I agree. Great point. Great point. So this is how they're butchering up the text. They're assuming that Genesis 2 and 5, that Adam hadn't been created, because in Genesis 1:26 is being told in the past tense. Then they believe Genesis 2 and 5 is present tense, that there was no man to till the ground. Oh, see, there were already people created, and now when we get to Genesis 2:5, it's saying there was no one. And that's not what Genesis 2:5 is saying. Just to recap, Genesis 2 and 5 is saying in the Hebrew, no man was needed to till the ground because I have given Adam everything. Now let's go, I'm gonna have Shamaria read this text that they're butchering up. And this book is written by a Hebrew, a very great researcher. I have 2 of his books, or one in the PDF. This book Shamaria is going to read from is Nature Knows No Color Line by J.A. Rogers. And you can find the PDF of this on Google Books, so you can verify the source. I want to have him read the paragraph, and I want y'all to just listen very closely, because this is the source they cited to prove that they were pre-Adamites. They believe J.A. Rogers is writing a text, and J.A. Rogers is confirming that they were pre-Adamites. Let's read how J.A. Rogers' research reads. Shamaria, give me the page, book title and page.
This is Nature Knows No Color Line by J.A. Rogers. This is page 21, Negro Ancestry in the White Race. And it says, the next most important work on the theory of plural origins was the Pre-Adamite by Isaac de la Pere in 1655. He proved his from the Bible. Composing chapters 1 and 2 of Genesis, he showed very logically there were 2 creations of man. Chapter 1 records a man and a woman who were given dominion over the earth and over every living thing. Chapter 2 says there was not a man to till the ground. So the Most High made a man out of dust of the earth, and later gave him a woman as a companion in the Garden of Eden. This man is mentioned as Adam, and the woman Eve. Peri says that the man and the woman in chapter 1 were therefore pre-Adamites, and there that it was from that stock Cain got his wife. The Bible clearly says that Cain was sent off to another country, and how could he have gotten a wife there if there were then only 3 persons on the earth? Adam, Eve, and Cain, question mark.
You see all this Greek logic? This man, Isaac de la Pere, whoever he is, in 1655, he came up with the theory that these 2 passages are talking about 2 different species. Read it again, because I know it's the first time people are hearing this. Let's read this again. We're going to break it down.
At top, the next most important work on the theory of plural origins.
On the what?
Theory.
On the what?
On the theory.
Now, I didn't get my diploma. I don't have no degrees, family. I dropped out of college my junior year and started working. What does theory mean?
I think it's an idea. It might be.
It's an idea. You don't have no practical experience. You ever show up to an interview? You have any experience? Well, you did this case studies. I studied in my book. So you got theoretical knowledge of how to take a heart out. Do you have any practical knowledge? Well, this man has 2 heart surgeries under his belt. I think I'm going to go with him because all you got is theory. This man came up with a theory that there's pre-Adamites. Y'all catching this?
I catch it. What basically he read it, he based off of his literal understanding, he said, well, I don't know how Cain could have got a wife if it was nobody else on the earth. And chapter 1 says this and chapter 2 says that. So it must be, I suppose it might be, he must have had people before Adam. That's all literally is all he's saying.
Sister Joyce always eating chocolate ice cream. So she don't like vanilla ice cream. Did she tell you that?
Maybe she eat the vanilla at home.
Maybe she got tired of vanilla and now she's just doing chocolate for a minute. You see how these brothers are leaning to their own understanding? And now you twisting this resource and you're going to use it as your source. J.A. Rogers wrote in Nature Knows No Color Line that they were pre-Adamites. Let's see if J.A. Rogers is really saying that. Read on.
The most important work on the theory of plural origins was the Pre-Adamite by Isaac de la Prairie in 1655.
Did you Google who is this Isaac? Is he one of the apostles? Is he Paul's nephew? Is he John's grandson?
Yeah, Frenchman by the sound.
Now, we don't know for sure because we were all over the place. That's why we can't say who's who by names because he could be an Israelite. But my point is, did y'all check this cat out before you said, oh, he proved that there's pre-Adamites? This is the level of scholarship you got to go. You reading this text, oh yeah, J.A. Rogers said this. J.A. Rogers ain't saying there's no pre-Adamites family. Let's read on.
And they say he proved his from the Bible.
So there's multiple theories floating around. The text is saying that this Isaac thinks he proved his from the Bible. That's all that's saying. Read on.
Composing chapters 1 and 2 of Genesis.
So did he write those 2 chapters? So he's composing chapters? You see how these people, they can't read. You got these brothers in front of their cameras. You're buying all these books and you don't have reading comprehension. Now you're taking a young 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, all praise you, getting them off the streets from gangs and whoring, but now you're indoctrinating them. You're forcing them what to think. We're not doing that here, family. Read on.
Chapter 1 records a man, chapters 1 and 2 of Genesis, he showed very logically there were 2 creations of man. Chapter 1 records a man and a woman who were given dominion over the earth and over every living thing. Chapter 2 says there was not a man to till the ground. So the Most High made a man out of the dust of the earth and later gave him a woman as a companion in the Garden of Eden.
So we just brought out, was Adam created to work the garden? He was created to what the garden? Subdue it. Come on,
This man is mentioned as Adam and the woman Eve. He says that the man and the woman in chapter 1 were therefore pre-Adamites, and that it was from that stock Cain got his wife.
This Isaac is saying all this, family, not the text.
And the Bible clearly states that Cain was sent off to another country. And how could he have got a wife there if there were then on earth only 3 persons, Adam, Eve, and Cain?
You see how they give you lies with the truth? The text does say Cain was sent off. We read that. He went to Nod, but it didn't say that he found no woman in Nod. It don't tell you where he got his. This text don't tell Genesis, your condition that you got Genesis is, it don't tell you where he got his wife at. You're assuming these things. Now, this is why you gotta be Bereans, and when you watch these people videos, go get the sources yourself. This is the very next paragraph. Continue on.
Adam and Eve, said the Peri, were consecrated exclusively by God to be ancestors of his chosen people, the Jews. This idea in naming the Jews as the object of a special creation was said to be so flattering to them that La Prairie, who was a Protestant,
An Israelite,
he was a Protestant,
an Israelite,
he was a Protestant,
a Nazarite,
a
a
Protestant,
Judean.
he was a Protestant,
He was a what?
a
A
Catholic,
Catholic.
he was a Catholic who was accused of wanting to be their leader.
He wanted to lead. He wanted to be the leader of the Jews. He's so impressed by this Adam and Eve story and them being the leaders of the Jewish people. He wants to lead the Jews, the Israelites. Read on.
Pope Alexander VIII thought this rank heresy and had him thrown into the dungeon of Versailles.
The Pope at this time thought this man Isaac's idea of pre-Adamites was so rank heresy, he locked him up. Let's read what happens when he gets locked up. Pressure bust pipes.
However, thanks to the intervention of Prince de Condé, the book, not himself, was burnt.
They were burning people at the stake, the Catholic Church and the Protestants. If you're going against Pope and Rome, they're burning you. But it says they spared him. They didn't burn him. They burned his book about pre-Adamites. Read on.
Prostrating himself before the Pope the following year, he adjourned his doctrine.
What did he do about his doctrine?
He recanted his doctrine.
I take it all back. There are no pre-Adamites. So if these brothers would have been scholars like they claim to be, like they put themselves out to be, I do this for real. I'm about this. You so braggadocious. If you would have kept reading, you would have understood that this man under pressure recanted about pre-Adamites. How many of you are going to recant about Messiah? Don't answer me. Because when your life is on the line, that's how we won real pagans over to our faith. When those Romans, to the Jewish man, I've been watching you, I see you praying faithful, and I see you ain't eating the food, and God must be on your people. All you gotta do is repent. And she said, no, throw me to the lions. That's how real pagans became followers of our king. Because under life or death, this man gotta be real. This woman just watched her daughter get ate up, and she says, throw me out there too. So when your life is on the line, when your job is on the line, when your house is about to get taken, what you really believe is going to come out you. So when this man was under the pressure, he recanted. My theory about pre-Adamites, Pope, forgive me, I was delusional. But here you, super captain, super bishop, you don't push this out to the Most High people that they were pre-Adamites. You just called our father a liar. Now, I don't debate, this is for your research. Most of these people, they reject every text that don't support their doctrine. I read from the book of Jasher or Yashar, and just like your King James, I filter everything through the culture. So I don't accept everything in none of these books. But we just found 53, I think with the 56 errors in the King James. This book of Jasher or Yashar, the upright, tells you where Cain received his wife from. Can you read that for us?
Verse 1.
Come.
And the Most High said, let us make man in our image. After.
Can you see, Sister Joyce, can you see?
It's like, I'm following up. Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
And the Most High formed man from the ground, and he blew into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living soul endowed with speech. And Yahweh said, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make unto him a helpmeet.
So, I mean, what does alone mean? Like alone, like by himself? Because why didn't he just sit over there and play with the other people? Hey, Adam, there's some neighbors over here. You got some pre-Adamite neighbors, Adam. Go over there and make friends with them. You have to change and adulterate a lot of texts, and you have to blaspheme a lot to say that there was pre-Adamites. Read that again, that was sweet.
And Yahweh said, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make unto him a helpmeet.
Read on.
And Yahweh caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took away one of his ribs and built flesh upon it and formed it and brought it to Adam. And Adam awoke from his sleep, and behold, a woman was standing before him. And he said, this is the bone of my bones, and it shall be called woman, for this has been taken from man. And Adam called her name Eve, for she was the mother of all living.
The what?
The mother of all living.
She's the mother of all living. So how's there pre-Adamites if Eve, her Hebrew name is Kawah? Kawah is the life giver. Either you use the palm of the hand to give, and Wah being joined to life, or you can use the tent wall, Chowah. They both have the same function. So how do you get there with pre-Adamites if the text is telling us Eve is the mother of all living things? You have to make it make sense to me. Now, while we got that on the text, if that wasn't enough, well, we brought it out here in Jasher. It's not good for men to be alone.
The writer said Jubilees 4:9.
And I thought I put it in here. I didn't put it in here. Okay. Go to what's Jubilees 4:9? Because I'm looking for the one where it's telling you where Cain got his wife from. I thought I chopped it up.
So it says, and Cain took Awan, his sister.
Hold on, let me get it out. I want to pull it up. So see it. I thought I had chopped it up and put it in the presentation. That's Jubilees what?
4:9.
I was building slides at the job, at the house, all over the place for this. Just so the people can see it. And if you don't accept the text, then you know that's a personal preference. I'm not trying to debate or convince anyone. I'm trying to show you guys how they're being disingenuous and calling our Father a liar with this pre-Adamite doctrine. But this is for you. You take it and verify it yourself. But I want you to read it. I do accept the book of Jubilees. I filtered this book like I filter everything. Where you was at,
9. It says, and Cain took Awan, his sister, to be his wife, and she bore him Enoch at the close of the 4th Jubilee.
Now, you can say you don't accept this text. That's fine. That's your personal preference. But at least I'm basing my stance on something that I can read. You're saying Adams had parents, but you don't have a text to give me his parents' names. You don't have a text showing me where his parents came from. So where are you getting this cockamamie doctrine from? At least I can give you something to read and you claim it or reject it yourself. But this clearly says that Cain got his wife from his sister. Not only did Cain do this, all the early generations did this until the earth got populated. It wasn't a filthy thing. Right now, it's horrible. It's incest. But remember, the law of incest wasn't here yet. So they all took their sisters, and then it became your cousin. Then it's your first cousin. So Cain and his brothers, because Adam had other boys. I think it goes on to tell you, Adam has other sons. They're all marrying their sisters. So at least we can give you a text to show you Cain got his wife is his sister. The text give you her name. Now you can chop this up and say this is garbage all you want. That's your personal preference. But Superman, Super Captain, whatever your title is, show me a text to give you Adam and Eve's parents. Can you do that? Any questions or comments or concerns so far?
Let me back out of the Zoom real quick and come back in because mine's got like a bar that's maybe it seemed like a little glitch. So give me 1 second.
That's why I'm begging you. I'm imploring all of you. Do not be indoctrinated by anyone anymore. The Torah Group, your favorite YouTube teacher, it it don't matter. You ask everybody from witnesses, and if that man's humble, he should be able to tell you, this is my opinion, this is what I put together.
Just do the host again.
If that man is really a servant of Yah,
Still there. I don't know what.
you good?
You guys made me the host again, but that bar is still there. I don't know what it is. This thing right there.
It must be on your side.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
You may have to if it don't go away when you restart, you may have to reinstall Zoom.
Yeah, I'll just I can well.
So if that teacher can't produce his witnesses, family, you gotta ask him where he's getting his doctrine from. You have to stretch a lot of texts to say they were pre-Adamites. Now, what really disappoints me about these brothers is that the few that I've seen pushing this pre-Adamites doctrine, they claim to know Hebrew. A couple of them claim to teach it in their schools. And it's like, how can you teach Hebrew in your schools and don't understand there was nothing before or no one before Adam? We brought this out last week. Remember, those just learning, we start from the right side. Why would the Father name him Adam if he wasn't the first to come through the path of life? Can you sketch that up for me, Super Captain and Bishop? His name tells you his character of who he is. I'm the first, the ox head, I'm the first. The tent door, the da, the path. And the ma, the water of the blood. I'm the first to come through the path of life. So his name alone tells you he's first.
They ain't really breaking down the Hebrew like that, to be honest. Like you said, it's just sounds. His name would have been something. What's two? Shanya.
Shanya is two. His name would have been Shania, the second of Yah. Shemaiah, the second created from the blood. So I'm taking y'all here to show you, you can't be looking at how big these assemblies are and their organizations are, and they got booster clubs, and we got syndicated camps all over the world, and I've been in this since 75. If your doctrine is not in these scrolls, and you don't know the Israelite culture, you don't know the Israelite way of life, you don't really understand this text. Adam is the first of creation. Adam is the first creation. If that wasn't enough, let's go to the internet. Let's go to the internet. Any questions before we go to the internet? So let me shut this one down. So let's go to the internet. And let's pull up some more receipts, because I don't want you taking my word for anything. Those resources we read from, Nature Knows No Color Line, is available at this website free of charge. And all you got to do is type in the title, Nature Knows No Color Line, and put .archive at the end. And the reason why I love this database here, this database, when you could pull up one of the sources, the pages flip easily like that, but you also can hit this search bar right here. And I already did it, but I just show you for the sake of time, you can type in any word like Adam and hit enter, and it takes you through all the occurrences of the word in the text. And you see these little tick marks down here, and it'll show you where you can find your search results at. That's why I love this archive.org. It's the Internet Archive. It's a bunch of books I've downloaded over the years, and I still have them. And if you're teaching or for the sake of time, you can go here and search for your word and go straight to the passage you're looking for. prove your case or to make your point. So let me do this because I got more research about this garbage doctrine of pre-Adamites. It's an abomination. It's calling our Father a liar. You don't know the culture like you profess to know it. I'll turn it back around 1 second, y'all. So here's another resource. And now this is getting close to our today's topic. Y'all remember I talked about this book? We brought this book out a couple weeks ago, and this is the Khazari. This is the book of the Khazars. This is also on this archive.org database. I encourage you all here, and what you can do when you go here, you scroll up and you can download different formats. And I just download a PDF to make it simple. It tells you how big the file is, 67.1 megabytes. So most of these documents you can hold on your phone. So, and the same thing, you can type in search results, you can type in words here. Now, remember I told you, if you guys remember, I told you that some scholars and some Khazars want to say that this book of the Khazars is a mythical and fiction of the Khazars' conversion to Judaism. But I got another resource that I just found yesterday that confirms this book is not fiction. This book is verified. The Khazar king, the Khagan, did have a conversation with an Israelite, a Jew, a Talmudic Jewish, who taught him the oral law, the Kabbalah, and some of the commandments. So this book, the Khazari, is vetted. And the same thing, you can see I already did the search results. And for the sake of time, let's go to how old the earth is, page 20. And let me try to get this right on the screen for y'all. Let me see, it's been a minute, bear with me, y'all. It's been a minute since I used this. So the book of the Khazars is a conversation between the Khazarian king and the Israelite, who the Khazarian king is interviewing our forefather, and he's interviewing the Roman emperor, one of Constantine's grandsons. And he's interviewing a Muslim because this Khazar king is trying to decide what's going to be the religion of his kingdom. Because the Muslims are advancing, but the Khazars have stopped the Muslims. But now he's trying to have some peace in his kingdom. So this Khazar king calls a council. And he says, look, bring the Christian scholars, bring the Israelite scholars, they say Jewish, bring the Israelite scholars, and bring the Muslim scholars. I'm going to ask you all y'all questions about your philosophies and what your text is saying. And then I'm going to make a decision for my Khazarian kingdom, what religion we're going to follow. So that's what this book of the Khazars is about. It's about the questions he asks. And so I want y'all to read this Khazarian king. He's asking one of our ancestors. Now, he's a wicked Talmudic Israelite, but he asks him how old the earth is. And go back. I want to show you how the reason why Sister Joyce is here, the reason why most of us are here is because regardless of how that person look, how funny they may be dressed, when we examine the text for ourselves, the information is making sense. It's making sense. You can say all you want about where you went to school at, but when I give you a question about the law and the Holy Ghost, your answers are not making sense, Pastor. So one thing about us with all the texts we're bringing out, we can give you an answer to the questions you're looking for. Your pastor can't tell you why Russia is invading Ukraine. We're going to show you today more evidence why Russia is invading Ukraine. Your pastor can't tell you why only brown people are being shot down. So that's why when you ask questions, let the person answer. And then you research their answer. So I was trying to magnify this.
Do you want to see if that thing at the bottom is saying single page? Is looking like it might be single page, double. Like, is that single right there?
So, but it's not playing right.
Oh, I was wondering if
Almost
that's
freezing up.
so. That's 4. Oh, I guess that might be it then.
Yeah, let me see if I can magnify it. All right, boom. Boom. So just so y'all know the format of the Book of the Khazars, the Book of the Khazars, it was saved in Arabic. It was written in Arabic. A lot of our forefathers spoke Arabic. They were multilingual. And this book has been translated over the years by different people. The Book of the Khazars is how the Khazarian kingdom, the Ukrainians, became Jewish people. It's how they became fish people. And this Khazarian king interviewed all these 3 different religions and asked them questions. So I'm going to get to the paragraph where he asked our ancestor, this is what we read last week. Since we're here, let's read it now. We can skip that. So it's when I click on it, it's supposed to be turning.
I think it's just like you said. It's just moving a little slow.
So family, we're on the right side of the screen. We're about to start with paragraph 45 or question 45 or statement 45. However let's go back up to 44. Well, you know what? Since we're here, let's go. I'll start with 43 and we're going to go over to the other side. Come. Start with paragraph 43. So for those online, we're right here at paragraph 43.
The rabbi, these are some of the characteristics of the undoubted prophets through whom God made himself manifest, and who also made known that there is a God who guides them as he wishes, according to their obedience or disobedience. He revealed to those prophets that which was hidden and taught them how the world was created, how the generations prior to the flood followed each other, and how they reckoned their descent from Adam.
Reckon their descent from who?
Adam.
So here's the rabbi, the Israelite, telling the Khazar king, there is a God, and he's told the prophets the history of the world and how they descend from Adam. That's what this Israelite or this Talmudic Jew, this Talmudic Israelite is telling the Khazarian king. We have a God, and he broke down the history of the world, and he told our fathers, the prophets, how we come from Adam. Everybody's with us? Everybody's with us?
Mm-hmm.
All right, read on.
He described the flood and the origin of the 70 nations from Shem, Ham, and Japheth, the sons of Noah, how the languages were split up and where men sought their habitations, how arcs arose, how they built cities, and the chronology from Adam up until this day.
So here's, and this goes back to the 700s. This Israelite historian in the 700s is going back to Adam. But you in the pagan year 2000 then got some understanding that we can go back further than Adam. Book, chapter, and verse. Point 44.
And just real quick too, like the way he described that sounds just like how Jubilees was describing everything. 44. It is strange that you should possess authentic chronology of the creation of the world.
So here's the Khazarian king saying, wow, like it's kind of strange that you got a chronology. You can tell me how the world is created, right? Read on.
Surely we reckon according to it, and there is no difference between the Jews of Khazar and Ethiopia in this respect.
So you got to keep in context the history. we have ran to Khazaria because we heard that they are friendly to us. So he's saying, all these black Jews you see in Khazar, we don't differ from our brothers in Ethiopia. Y'all following? We all had the same story. You talk to Shamar in Greensboro, y'all's gonna say the same thing in Charlotte, because we got the same history. Y'all tracking? Read on.
What date do you consider it at present?
The Khazarian king says, so what date is it right now?
4,900 years. The details can be demonstrated from the lives of Adam, Seth, Enosh to Noah, then Shem and Eber or Ibar to Abraham, then Isaac and Jacob to Moses. All of them represented the essence and purity of Adam on account of their intimacy with God. Each of them had children only to be compared to them outwardly, but not really like them, and therefore without direct union with the divine influence. The chronology was established through the medium of those sainted persons who were only single individuals and not a crowd until Jacob begot the 12 tribes, who were all under this divine influence.
What is he saying? He said every generation our father was working with one holy man who kept the oral tradition up, passing on our history to the next generation until Jacob had the 12 tribes. Then all those boys got the history of the world. He said that's how we could track things. And then not only can we track things, our ancestors wrote things down. So when you say there were pre-Adamites and the earth is 12 million years old, where's your witnesses at? Read on. 48.
Until Jacob begot the 12 tribes, who were all under divine influence. Thus the divine element reached a multitude of persons who carried the records further. The chronology of those who had lived before these had been handed down to us by Moses.
By who?
By Moses.
Who's the book of Jubilees written by or perspective?
Moses.
You see how this is verifying it? So when you stop on the surface or you only accept what your organization is pushing out, you just allow yourself to be indoctrinated.
And they tell you that the Malachim wrote it for them.
So for the sake of time, let's drop down. Now he continues on answering the Khazar's question, how we know so accurately how old the earth is. Watch the Khazar's response.
If it was
Oh, know what?
back then,
I gotta.
Yeah, we got to come to the sabbatical. It's about over.
Right. 60 is what we came for. Y'all stay with us here. I know this history is boring. We got to do this to uproot all this false doctrine. Point number 60. Let's go here.
Does it not weaken thy belief if thou art told that the Indians have antiquities and buildings which they consider to be millions of years old?
So he's saying, what if I told you, Mr. Israelite, that the Indians have records that say the earth is billions or millions of years old? That's what the Khazar is being objective. He's listening to us, but he's like throwing out rebuttals sometimes. So he's saying, listen, would you recant or would you have some doubts if I could tell you that the Indians say the earth is 12 million years old? Watch what now this ancestor is our ancestor, even though he's wicked. Watch how he replies here, family.
It would indeed weaken my belief had they a fixed form of religion.
I'm sorry. Start over up.
It would indeed weaken my belief if they had a fixed form of religion or a book concerning which a multitude of people had the same opinion and in which no historical discrepancy could be found.
What is he saying, Shamoria?
Basically, like how our people, the Israelites, have a record, chronology, and it's no differences in the story. If they had that same story or similar story to where all their people are telling the same story and they had it written in a book, then he would consider it to be truth. But our people have been, and then the part about the historical discrepancy, you can find these things happen to us in history.
Y'all records keep contradicting each other. One of y'all so-called prophets that say the earth is 1 billion years old, then you're very saying that son or grandson to come up and say something different. So he's saying if the Indians or any other nation can produce records that don't contradict each other, I may say y'all had something. But y'all records of these other nations keep just vacillating. The Israelite scrolls, we don't change it. It appears to be changed when you pagans start changing things. But if you can get the original, most of our things say the same thing. Even the faction of us who don't agree, we're going to agree on the ancient stuff. Because we would kill you if you go to Charlotte talking about Jacob only had 10 boys.
Right.
And we found out about it. It's like, why are you disrespecting dad like that? So even when we had splinter groups, the base, the historical, the ancient texts, we all want to say the same thing. Whether I'm a Nazarite or a Talmudist, when it comes to our ancient history, how we came from Egypt, we agree on that.
Yeah, stuff like saying, oh, Jacob had 12 sons. Everybody's going to be saying that. Jacob wrestled with the Malachim. Everybody knows those things. Moses struck the rock. Moses gave us the Torah. But like we all saying the same stuff.
He's saying these pagans, their stories don't match up. Y'all have no scrolls. We got things carved in brick. That picture back there, that's our ancestors in stone. Our Torah laws, it's multiple fragments in clay and stone. So he's saying you other nations, y'all can't produce the same story within 2 or 3 generations. So he says y'all don't have no validity to what y'all saying. Read on. I'm sorry, this get me excited, y'all. That's why I like it.
Yeah.
Huh?
I said,
Y'all see the magnitude of what we up against?
And he says, so far, such a book, however, does not exist. Apart from this, they are dissolute, unreliable people and arouse the indignation of the followers of religions through their talk, whilst they anger them with their idols, talisman, and witchcraft. To such things they pin their faith and deride those who boast of the possession of a divine book.
We're telling you we have books that we've been handed down to us by holy men of our nation. You just got a bunch of made up rocks and stuff that you say this is a healing rock. So why should I believe the people, your elders? He said, we got books passed down. Y'all make it up there, you take this and my ancestors beat a line with this. Where's it written down at?
The documents that we're showing isn't just our spirituality, but it's our history. And other nations can back this up that we interacted with.
We got receipts from the other nations. We're going to get there. We got receipts by the other nations confirming without. So you saying we're biased because I think I'm an Israelite and I keep pulling Israelite records. So you're biased because you think you're an Israelite. Well, what about if the Russians say the same thing?
Just like sometimes I'll watch YouTube documentaries on how we got captured by the Babylonians, or maybe even just the Babylonian Empire itself, or this is just for one example. And it'll tell us in our book, yes, King Nebuchadnezzar came down and he did this, this, and this. Then the Babylonian history says, yeah, Nebuchadnezzar went and he got the Jews. So then
2 plus 2, what reason would those nations have to lie for us?
Yeah.
So this elder of ours, even though he's a wicked Talmudist, he's saying y'all don't have books and y'all stories keep changing over the years. We got books. Read on.
And it says, yet they only possess a few books, and these were written to mislead the weak-minded.
Silly men and women. Silly men and women are being led astray because, man, he's powerful, man. Look at him up there. That's right. Kwam Yasharala. And to a little brother in the hood, my dad been dead, my mom been a junkie. I'm in and out of, I'm looking for identity. That is something. Look at them brothers strong. I respect these brothers. I'm proud of these brothers, but you just can't be forcing your doctrine on people.
And this just like in a Christian sense too, like let's say TD, they write their own books to use to teach weak-minded people.
You're pulling from sources you wrote. Gina says the best way to make Kool-Aid is put the sugar at the bottom, then you throw the, well, who wrote this? It's your own book. You see, that's what these brothers are doing.
And our people are always looking for something bigger than themselves, like the sororities, the fraternities, churches. So they're always looking for something, gangs, things like that. They're always looking for something to follow instead of going with.
It's very alluring to see brothers like they even. I remember one of my trainers in the call center. When you tell the customer something wrong, tell them with confidence.
Lie.
So even though these brothers may be wrong, when you see the brother that were powerful, it makes a young brother with no father figures in the house like, man, I want to be like that. So that's why I go to lengths to let y'all. I want y'all to do the work yourself. Don't take my word for anything. Let's read on here.
To this class belong astrological writings, in which they speak of 10,000 of years as the book on the Nabatean agriculture, in which they mention the names of Janbashar, Sagrit, and Ra'anai. It is believed that they lived before Adam, who was the disciple of Janbashar and such like. If I had supported Al-Khazari, if I had supported my arguments reference to a Negro people, i.e., a people not united upon a common law, thy answer would have been correct. Now, what is thy opinion of the philosophers who, as a result of their careful researches, agree that the world is without beginning, and here it does not concern tens of thousands and not millions, but unlimited numbers of years?
So he says, okay, you answered that correctly. Now, what do you say to the Greek philosophers that says the earth has no beginning?
That's what we got now. Big Bang. That's what we got now.
That was for you. You know, we grew up that Big Bang Theory. They still taught y'all that in school?
Yeah, because I rebelled against that and Naraya too. I rebelled against that from the beginning because I remember where I was in school and I used to tell people the examples, probably because my dad raised us Christian. But I said, if I come in this classroom, because you know we used to have to flip the chairs on top of the desk before we left for the day and make it all neat. I was like, so you telling me if I dropped a bomb in this classroom, that when we walk in here tomorrow, all the chairs gonna be sitting on the table nice and neat? That never made sense to me, even when I was a kid, because out of chaos, how could you get order? How do you get order? I said somebody had to, back then, I was like, God had to, because if the sun was a little bit closer,
it burns us up.
Yeah. So they did teach us that, but back then I was like, nah, y'all talking crazy.
So the Khazarian king is moving on, like, okay, that's a great response. But what do you say to the Greek philosophers, Aristotle and Plato? What do you say about these Greeks? Be careful who you want to be like. Be careful who you want to be like. Now, what do you say about these mighty Greeks who say that the earth is infinitely old? Watch how our ancestor responds about these Greek philosophers.
There is an excuse for the philosophers. Being Grecians.
Being who?
Grecians.
Being who?
Grecians.
They know nothing.
Science and religion did not come to them as inheritance. That's why they start making up stuff. They belong to the descendants of Japheth, who inhabited the north, whilst that knowledge coming from Adam and being supported by divine influence.
Mark that in your head. The Greeks come from Japheth, who inherited the north. Shabbat shalom. The Grecians come from Japheth, who inherited the north. I want y'all to lock that in your scrolls. The Greeks come from who?
Japheth.
Who inherited the what?
The north.
Let's read on.
Whilst that knowledge coming from Adam and supported by the divine influence is only to be found among the progeny of Shem, who represented the successors of Noah and constituted it as it were his essence.
The true history of the earth was blessed to Shem. my Jubilees, my scholars, what did our grandfather Noah say when he found out that the Garden of Eden fell to Shem?
Blessed be Shem. I just know that. Blessed be Shem.
Blessed be the God.
Elohim Shem.
When Noah found, because Noah didn't give us our inheritance, Abba told Noah where to send his boys at. When Shem got the Garden of Eden, Noah says, blessed be the God of Shem, for he has given Shem the inheritance or the good part of the earth. So this text is saying the Greeks come from Japheth. The true knowledge was given to Shem, and that's why Shem got the best of the earth. Now, hold your hand up. Now, let's keep going and destroy some Christian doctrine. That's our goal, to bring people out of Christianity. If Shem got the good of the earth and Japheth was sent to the north, doesn't it seem like Yana made a
Distinction.
You see how there's not equality with the Most High?
It showed favoritism.
It showed favoritism.
I got it right here just to, bring the word about what you're saying. Is chapter 8, verse 18, starting at 18.
Give them everything. Chapter and verse.
Jubilees is Jubilees chapter 8, and then verse 18. It says, and Noah rejoiced that this portion came out from Shem for his sons, and he remembered all that he had spoken with his mouth in prophecy. For he said, blessed be Yahweh Elohim of Shem, and may Yahweh dwell in the dwelling of Shem. And he knew that the Garden of Eden is the Holy of Holies and the dwelling of the Most High, and Mount Sinai, the center of the desert, and Mount Zion, the center of the navel of the earth. These three were created as the holy places facing each other.
Who does the Most High dwell with out of the three sons?
Shem.
You see how Christianity, I guess that's why you don't read from these books, because we know you Romans and you other people descend from the other brothers. And it's not a skin doctrine, because we know for a fact that Ham or Ham are dark people. So it's not a skin doctrine that you're not the Most High's people. It's Shem's line that the Most High dwells with. Because the Egyptians and all Ham's sons we know are black. So don't give me this a skin doctrine and y'all pushing a racial hierarchy. Miss me with that. Put your feelings in your purse. It's time for men to get on the front lines. You sisters have no business trying to teach people. Read on up.
All right. Okay, this is going to that. Okay, yeah, this knowledge has always been connected with this essence and will always remain so. The Greeks only received it when they became powerful from Persia.
The Greeks only started getting understanding when the Most High raised them up to conquer us, to spank our tail.
And that goes with Daniel.
So y'all came from the west over there in Greece. Y'all don't have no monuments. Y'all don't have no pyramids. But when the Most High raised y'all up, because he says, I raise up kings, and now y'all start coming to the east where the original people, oh, that's why I couldn't get my crops to grow while the snow was on the ground. Y'all wait till the ground thaws out the plant. Yes. And y'all don't have 10 months? Y'all got 12? Yes. When they came and started talking to us, we started explaining to them, once we humbled down, I got to serve you because my father says through the prophets, we got to serve you. And this is why we have Feast of Unleavened Bread. This is why we have 6 work days and we rest on Shabbat. If I don't rest on Shabbat, the Father's going to kill me. But if you allow me to keep my Father's commandments, he'll bless you and I'll serve you. When we started teaching the Greeks and the Romans, our way of life made sense and we have records to show them. Greece and Rome, y'all coming over here and y'all don't have nothing. So now you make up Zeus is the great God.
That's what I was going to say.
We're telling you about Samson. You're telling me about
The Incredible Hulk.
what Hercules. We got scrolls to verify what we're saying. You Greeks come over here making up things. Now Rome is the next beast. Rome says, well, Greece made up their stories.
So they just changed Jupiter to Zeus.
They just changed folks' names.
Jupiter.
You changed the Greek gods to your Roman gods.
Yeah.
But we got records. Our ancestors are ancient. Even the Babylonians had things in the wall. Persia had things on the wall. What y'all got with Rome? Y'all ain't got nothing. You want to talk about Rome with some great architecture? They're copying off Babylon and us. You have something else, y'all?
It just goes back into, you know what I'm saying? There was a lot of points. To be atheist is to be a fool. Because you have historical, not touching this book, you have historical references proving that the Israelites of the Bible are real, that the Egyptians are real, that all these other ancient nations were real outside of the scriptures in secular history. Then, so if you're an atheist, it's true what the scripture says, you're foolish.
Yeah.
And the tackle on the Greeks, they have a myth that a Titan is holding the earth. You know, Atlas. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, bro, where are you getting this from?
Where are you getting this from? A man is holding the earth on his back, and then we come to find out the earth ain't round. Mm-hmm. So what you got on your back? That's a sis.
And they did that because when they met our forefathers, how we can trace it back, that Shem through all the way back to Adam, then they said, well, this great, whoever the leader was at the time, he goes back to Jupiter or whoever they want to say that they go back to. And like we just brought out, then they just changed it when Rome came, because they, like it said here, they didn't have a history, but then they saw us. And that's what Paul even talks about this in the New Testament, saying like, don't do the endless genealogies, but he meant not that we don't talk about our lineage, but he was saying how the Greeks, they sitting around making stuff up, saying, oh yeah, you come from Jupiter, you come from this and come from that. That's what Paul was talking about in the New Testament. And they did that because we have our history and they didn't have a history, but they were in power. So they were like, well, we must come from X, Y, Z, whatever.
And see, you see how that's important, because with the Levites, how you gonna know who is who if you don't do that?
Get a mic that back there. Y'all say you have something for
just to land me back on Shamar, what they did with Alexander. This is Alexander, who's descendant of Achilles, who's a descendant of Zeus. Like, bro, who was Achilles and Zeus?
Exactly.
What does that have to do with me? I'm an Israelite.
No graves, no tombs.
They start getting to with the fallen angels and giving them the credence of like, well, go ahead.
But look how sinister it is, and I guess I blame us. You're teaching this in your schools. Mm-hmm. We got Greek mythology and Roman mythology to pass social studies.
Yeah. And we like it. We actually, and now I'm finding like we got the same thing. Like y'all saying Hermes, and then y'all give us the Flash. And me and Naraya's like, oh, the Flash is, you know what I'm saying? Now we say, okay, we know where y'all really got that from. That's Tally. But you know, Hermes is the Flash, and that's a Greek god. You know what I'm saying?
That they borrowed from the Canaanites. The original Hermes is black. We get to that later. Naraya, you had something too?
I was talking about the genealogy and just supporting how for us and our culture it's important to know your genealogy.
I got it.
Just as far as going off of, you know, looking, because I've been reading, my meditation this week has been the book of Ezra. And Ezra, we know, is a Levite. So the Levites had to specifically know their genealogy as far as the high priest. You had to be a son of Aaron. And how would you know you were a son of Aaron? How would anybody else know unless they knew your genealogy?
And you guys got to get into Josephus, because Josephus threw one of the Egyptian historians under the bus. He says, you Egyptians, you don't even know your own history. This text is verifying that these heathens, these Greeks who took over the world and passed on a bunch of theories. The earth is round. There's 13 months and there's 4 seasons. Our ancestors is telling this Khazarian king, these Greeks have no records. They're giving y'all fiction, and because y'all scared of them, y'all following in line with the Greeks. That's why y'all see me post about the Greeks. I'm trying to win our brothers and sisters out of that mess. Be careful who you idolize. The Greeks know nothing. Read on.
It's not sharing on here.
The Greeks only received it when they became, The Greeks only received it when they became powerful from Persia. The Persians had it from the Babylonians or the Chaldeans. That is like what Daniel brings out too. It was only then that the famous Greek philosophers arose, but as soon as Rome assumed political leadership, they produced no philosopher worthy the name.
So Rome couldn't even get at least the Greeks was copied off the Persians and the Babylonians. When the Romans came up, they couldn't even produce a strong philosopher. They just copied off the Greeks.
That's why we Greco-Roman society
Thank
now.
you. So let's keep going since we're talking about these Greeks. I hate these Greeks, filthy people.
Does Al-Khazari, does this mean that Aristotle's, we still hear about him, his philosophy is not deserving of credence?
Certainly.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Aristotle deserves no credence. He's a jackleg. He's a Johnny come lately. Let's read about Aristotle.
He exerted his mind because he had no tradition.
See what?
He had no tradition.
He exerted his mind. What's that mean, family?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You probably got it.
Well, I'll just say he exerted his mind, meaning that he pretty much saying that his thoughts were higher than.
I made stuff up. I write the screenplay.
I was gonna say it's all stuff.
Here, Zeus came up the top rope and sickled Aristotle was making stuff up. But his nation is conquering the world, so you scared to say Aristotle, that don't make no sense. Atlas is holding up all the water and the earth.
Is that where philosophy comes
from? Right. The Greeks made this stuff up.
Everything, how the earth is, everything we've been reading comes from the Greeks.
So why would you get your wisdom from a nation that it hasn't permitted for men to sleep with little boys?
Y'all way over here with no monuments, the first man was found in Eden. So why I'm listening to Greeks again? Why I'm listening to you, Rome? Y'all got a calendar with 10 months and y'all trying to grow crops in winter. You're telling me life starts again when there's ice on the ground. While I'm listening to you again, this is who we've been following, family. Let's pick up some speed. I know this is boring to y'all.
Nah.
He meditated on the beginning and end of the world, but found as much difficulty in the theory of a beginning as in that of eternity.
They only have theories, family. We can't gloss over these words. These people got theories they coming up with. They got no text to rely on. Everything we're reading makes sense to us. These Greeks got theories.
Let me keep reading. Okay, yeah. Okay, I like it. I don't know, like it's proven, like the scriptures and stuff. It says, finally, these abstract speculations, which made for eternity prevailed, and he had no reason to inquire into the chronology or diveration of those who lived before him.
So his imagination made sense to him, so he stopped.
He didn't even have to look back at anybody that came before him.
Makes sense to me.
So that word, if Akshay is up here, he can expound on it a little more. The Most High has given me a creative mind in the sense of I've always liked art. And when growing up in grade school, we all had art class, arts and crafts. So there were times as you became more and more advanced and you took the more advanced classes, they had you draw an abstract picture, which essentially means create your own. So just hearing that word, this dude was essentially just making a comic in his head and writing it down.
And now you stamp it. All the philosophers agree with Aristotle. I don't care about your philosophers.
And I see Christian teachers use not necessarily that specifically, but stuff like that. Scholars generally agree, according to this.
Most believe it has been postulated. Well, postulated is a big word. What does that mean? Oh, it's been assumed. not proven. Let's finish this up.
He lived among a people with well authenticated and generally acknowledged traditions, then he would lay its foundation. Is that right? And to be built up into a strong and complete structure. The first element of religion appeared, no doubt, among single individuals who supported one another in upholding the faith with which it pleased God should be promulgated.
So that's all we need from here. I just want you, last thing, we're gonna put this up. Let's read what the Khazar finally says to him. Is it 82?
80, I know 83 is talking about living in Egypt. I like that.
He says, it's one of these paragraphs, the Khazar finally says, all your answers make sense. All your answers make sense. We took y'all here just to show you that.
81.
Is it 81? How's he saying 81?
No, it's not saying that.
It's one of these paragraphs that Khazar was like, wow, I ain't gonna lie, all your answers are making sense. And that's what we're telling people. Y'all scoffing at us and speaking in tongues, babbling at people, but you don't have no answers that make sense. You're telling me I'm getting a reward just for believing. And the reward it comes from doing work. So all the answers that we come up with and we find in the scrolls is making sense. That's why your Sunday church is dwindling. That's why you're losing members, not because a cult is popping up. Pastor, you don't have any answers. So this is just showing you that this pre-Adamite doctrine, they don't have no witnesses. You brothers are so, and I'm coming straight to you brothers, because this is where we at. Y'all are so cocky and arrogant, and you think you're an Israelite. You're doing the same thing as the Greeks and the Christians, just making up stuff. And when you get confounded, you say whatever to win an argument. Is that righteous? No. That ain't righteous. So just be leery just because they got fringes on and they speak in Hebrew. If you're saying there's a pre-Adamite species, you don't know the culture. There's no, Adam is the first of this world, family. Any questions or comments about that?